Scal, how are we doing this week?
I'm doing very well. Back, ready. Celtics back in town. Should be a good one tonight.
It should be. And look, the Celtics hopefully have figured out some of their late game issues, which I want to get to. We are going to ask you about your event coming up at the Crystal Ballroom, Teresa's Prime in North Reading, on March 15th. We'll get some specifics on that in a moment. But I wanted to start with the Celtics and how they've answered from those two games they dropped last week, the Cleveland game, the Denver game. How concerned were you about those games, and did the Phoenix game solve any of that for you? Did it answer any questions you might have had late game?
So we talked last week about the Cavs game. It was very disappointing for that to happen. But, in the NBA, those type of things do happen. But we should have, we're on a collision course for Denver. We should have, taken care of business, 22-point lead. It's an anomaly. The Denver game is a little concerning because, I mentioned it many times, like physical teams, they got really big physical wings. So, that's kind of like the strength of our team is we have our two best players are versatile wings that can guard in multiple positions, but, they can hold their space. Well, Denver kind of, made us look a little bit small. Jokic down the stretch was incredible. So, yeah, that's definitely a concern. But if you look at the Phoenix game, I think that was two nights later, they did a really good job of being organized down the stretch. They gave the ball to Tatum. It wasn't Tatum dribbling the ball up and everyone standing around watching him. It was like a little bit of execution. Tatum has the ball. You saw that slip to the basket by Holiday. That was a design play. Then they ran another play the next possession, and, it didn't necessarily work, so Tatum had an isolation with about 8 seconds to go. Since then, we haven't had a close game, but the execution in that game and the organization that game has been better. But don't you guys kind of feel like we're not going to really know any of these answers until we get to the playoffs,
Yes.
until we get to a tight game? Like in the regular season, it's at this point in time, there's just not enough at stake. So I feel like we could be hopeful that this could happen, but we won't know until we face a pretty good opponent. It might not even be till like the second or third round.
But I would say we know, like Denver, you would agree, I'm guessing, has a pretty good shot of getting to the finals again, right?
Correct.
I know the West is tough. If you get back there and Denver is there, this is the one thing that the puzzle that I can't really figure out if you see them there. And I know we're jumping way ahead, but if you do, how do you solve Jokic? Is it a matter of like defense by offense that you're just out shooting them? Is there anyone who can really make an impact on him with how physical he is on offense?
Yeah, it's a great question. I think the answer to that, from just my observation of the Celtics, would be a lot more double big lineup with Al Horford and Kristaps Porziņģis. And you put Al Horford on with Kristaps Porziņģis lingering. You guys saw how Aaron Gordon really worked that baseline. So I think that would probably be the matchup that we would see. But let's say you're right? It's like we can't figure out the Jokic situation. You still got to win the non-Jokic minutes. And in both games, we didn't win those minutes. Jamal Murray went off on us. And when Jokic goes out of the game, and maybe that's like a different substitution pattern, maybe that's bringing in Tatum and Brown during the time where, Jokic is on the bench. But you have to put a lot of pressure on Mike Malone to put Jokic back into the game. And in both games, Jokic was chilling on the sideline in the fourth quarter. Murray was doing his things. We're over here burning timeouts. And that was just more rest for Jokic to dominate. And that's exactly what he did. So I think, yes, there's a game plan. And listen, I don't have the magic formula. If Eric Spoelstra couldn't figure it out, if Joe Mazzulla can't figure it out, I can't figure it out either. But I do know this, like you have to win those non-minutes, and look at his net rating when he's on the floor versus off the floor. It's almost 20 points better with him on the floor. So if we go and he goes to the bench and that team with Peyton Watson hits 2 threes and Jamal Murray goes off, we'll lose that game. And if that happens throughout the series, we'll lose the series. But that first and foremost, if you're going to beat Denver, you have to win those non-Jokic minutes. And then you can get into the nuances of how to stop a guy that's very, very difficult to stop.
Scal, you mentioned Kristaps Porziņģis. He's been ruled out tonight. That's 5 games he'll have missed just this month. We know that they're being careful with him, but how concerned should we be about this hamstring problem?
Yeah, I'm not really ever concerned in the NBA about guys until they, until you say it's going to be a long time, or those statements like we'll be reevaluated in 2 weeks. That's when I start to get concerned. But I think they're just like looking at the long-term approach. You guys saw the schedule in March. It's just a rapid fire of games coming at you. you have to assume that, I get it. Like Brown and Tatum are amazing for us, but I think we all agree that having size in the playoffs is a big deal. We need Porziņģis and Al Horford to be excellent during that time. So hopefully it's not a big deal, and hopefully these guys are getting some extra rest. But you just hope that those guys will all be there and be great, because I do think our championship hopes kind of lie in how much Porziņģis and Horford can give us throughout the playoffs.
Scal, I'm sure you've seen some of the Grant Williams stuff that has come to light over the last handful of days. It was Michael Finley sharing a story from a Mavs practice, Mike Gorman critical of Grant Williams the other day here in town. What was your understanding of the Grant Williams experience within the team, in the locker room?
Yeah, it's funny how like a guy like Grant Williams, who's not like a top 5 player on the team, but he, ran his mouth and he complained to the officials and stuff like that. But I don't think that makes him a bad teammate. I think it makes him authentic to who he is. And, I can watch Grant Williams all day long and think, man, this guy sacrifices for the team. He shoots corner threes. He defends at a high clip. He's mouthy, which is a good thing. I think everyone sees that stuff differently. A lot of people think they go through their life and they see a guy that kind of mouths off as a distraction, and you have to know your place. And other people man, I kind of like how he doesn't really care. I'll tell you, I coached Draymond Green before this whole thing blew up, right? Before they became the Golden State Warriors. And Draymond Green used to mouth off to people all the time. And a lot of people were like, this guy's got to know his place. And I was like, I actually kind of like that he speaks his mind and he calls people out. And he was coming off the bench. David Lee was starting over him. He was an 8th man. He would play 12 minutes a game at times. And I really liked that about him. I thought he was really authentic to who he is. So I think Grant Williams is a little polarizing topic where some people believe that he needs to know his place, and other people believe, I kind of like the guy. I like that he's mouthy. I like how he kind of goes back at people. Is it over the top at times? Yeah, of course. It's too much. Sometimes it's distraction for Luka Doncic. It was too much. Jason Tatum, I guess he liked it, right? Because he's the one that came back on social media and said equals good teammate. So I do think you can go around the NBA and you can ask people about that, and I think you'll get a 60-40 of, yeah, he needs to know his place, but I'm not one of those guys. I actually really liked him, and he never – I can find all kinds of good teammates that say the right thing, but when I watch him play, I'm like, man, that guy doesn't care about winning and losing. That guy's not making sacrifices for his team. I can identify that. Grant Williams is about winning. Grant Williams plays that way. And for me, I think that equals a good teammate. For Mike Gorman, it doesn't. And that's why it's really good when you start getting into the NBA and how people have different types of opinions on different guys. But I had no problem with the way that Grant Williams carried himself. And I thought he was I know some people look at the poke the bear of Jimmy Butler.
Yes.
I liked him poking the bear. Other people didn't. People called me up. Other NBA coaches called me up and that guy's got to know his place. You can't go off and do that type of stuff.
Butler liked it.
It's yeah, of course, it's a polarizing topic, and people are going to have different opinion on that. But I actually really enjoyed covering him and watching him, and I thought he was about the team.
You don't have to answer. Head coaches or assistant coaches were calling up?
It's just I talk to a lot of assistant coaches. I don't talk to many head coaches like that, but a lot of assistant coaches call me up and we chop it up about stuff. They ask me certain things about what people run and stuff like that.
Interesting.
Did you see Derrick White's new commercial?
That's great.
I thought he was really good.
Oh, it's awesome, Scal. It's good.
He is so good.
Oh.
He makes those Your Cousin from Boston commercials look good. He was really funny in it. I was impressed.
Good. I'll have to look it up. But no, I haven't. That's interesting because he seems when we do interviews with him like a little reserved, a little shy.
They play on that.
Oh, they do.
Yes,
okay.
They play
that's
on.
Really cool.
They play on how reserved he is. So I happen to like those ads. I know Mego's not a fan, but this was it was a particularly good one. A reminder: you can join Brian Scalabrine at the Crystal Ballroom, Teresa's Prime, in North Reading on March 15th from 6 to 9:30. Tickets are available at ElitePGStore.com. What's going on tomorrow night in North Reading, Scal?
Yeah, just hanging out, having dinner, chopping it up. There'll be a DJ there. Just having a fun Friday night. I don't really get a lot of those. A guy approached me and said, "Scal, do you want to just come hang out with some people?" I was like, "Sure, let's do it." So somebody's organizing all of it. I'm gonna have a great time. It's always good to kind of get out and about.
Mega wants to know, will Mountain Dew be served? That's what Mega wants to know. She was angry earlier.
Do you drink? Wait, Mego, you drink Mountain Dew?
Not just one.
Diet or Mountain Dew Zero.
She mainlines it.
It's not like there's sugar
soda
in it.
anymore.
What do you
Are you
mean?
serious?
What is this judgment I'm getting?
Scal, she's on her second of the day.
I want a little caffeine kick. I don't drink coffee.
So
what am I
you drink
supposed to do?
sugary
Tea?
drinks?
No, there is no sugar. It's diet. It's got
I know,
the
but you come on,
aspartame.
man.
Yeah. And plus, don't even get us started on the yellow number 5. Am I right?
Yellow number 5, aspartame, and caffeine. Unbelievable. And listen, I'm not getting any Mountain Dew ads, I'll tell you that. But, man, I didn't think anybody even drank that stuff anymore.
Well, meet Mego. So the answer is no, that's not going to be served tomorrow? That's not. Mego's complaint was that's not served at enough fine dining.
You know what? It might be, but you won't. I didn't think anybody drank that stuff. There's so many good options nowadays. You don't like Spindrift? What about like a sparkling, like those little fruity things? You don't like those? Those are good.
They don't have caffeine in them.
Oh, so you don't drink coffee, huh?
No, I need a caffeine kick,
Yeah.
You know how it
Coffee's
is,
the
talking, chopping it up.
No.
Gotta have the
I
energy.
do a lot of coffee.
Burping.
Let me ask you.
Burping.
You don't drink coffee because you don't like the way it tastes?
Upsets my tum.
Yeah, there's not enough sugar in it.
But
Yeah.
Mountain
Not
Dew
enough
is
aspartame in it.
Mountain Dew settles my tummy.
Got it. Interesting. All right. Well, good luck to you with all that.
Thank you. Thanks.
All right. Make sure you check out Brian Scalabrine tomorrow night in North Reading, Crystal Ballroom, Teresa's Prime. It is, again, tomorrow night, 6 to 9:30. Tickets available at ElitePGStore.com.
Mountain Dew situation still
Yeah,
unclear.
TBD. Scal, we appreciate the time. Thanks so much.
You got it. All right. See ya.
All right, Brian Scalabrine, as all our guests, joins us on the Harbor One Hotline.